What's up guys, welcome to another video. This is the very delayed next part of the Pan American Championships and the story of what happened, because it's a bit of a long story. I did the first travel day and after that I was just a little bit wrecked, so didn't end up producing any more videos. Got home, honestly you'll see why, but it literally took me 2 weeks after I got home to really feel normal again, because I was absolutely finished. So cut to the start of the week. Like I said, it took 48 hours to get there in the end after my second of 4 legs was delayed, had to rebook, was down an extra 300 quid on having to rebook flights. So that was not nice. Wasn't a great start. Not to mention, which I should remind you, I was ill 2 weeks before I left. I just recovered from being ill 2 weeks before I left, so the form wasn't good. The form was building but not where I wanted it to be. 48 hours of travel. My feet were so swollen from the flights. I just wasn't in a good state. So I got there on the Wednesday morning. I think I got to the hotel finally around, I think it was about midday in the end. And because the next day, Thursday, was the time trial, I had to get a pre-race spin in, because otherwise my legs would be absolutely garbage. I mean, they're garbage anyway, but they would have been absolute garbage. So literally got there after 48 hours of flight. Hadn't slept that last night because I was in the airport, so I just literally didn't get a minute of sleep. And then yeah, got on the bike, did an hour and I can't remember how I did. I think I did 2 hours of spinning with the guys, did a little test of the laps, which I felt amazing compared to what I thought I should have felt like, but still didn't feel that great. Anyway, so after that, got back to the hotel. The race organisers, they set up support staff and all that kind of thing, which were amazing and made the whole thing a million times easier. So big up to the Pan American Cycling Federation, because that was really good organisation, like the best organisation of any race I've ever been to. So those guys helped us out. Had loads of food, like a lot of food, recoup of airport food, because 48 hours of having sandwiches and McDonald's is not ideal. Anyway, so I had some food. That was good. I had to go to the managers meeting. That was fun. Also on the Wednesday, I had to go to the managers meeting because I was literally there, no support, just me. So I went to the managers meeting, had a nice I think I slept for 3 hours, had dinner, and then slept for 10 hours before the next day, so I was zonked. But yeah, like I said, had the skin suit, numbers prepped, everything prepped. I had the timings of my meals. I prepped it I did a perfect job. Went to got the bike in the van, drove to the start, got my warm-up timings, hydration, beta fuel, fueling, had my Turbo Plus caffeine gel at I think 20 minutes before the time trial, so it was all good. Everything was good. I mean, I was literally focused. I was like, I'm gonna do a great performance. I just had it in my head I could still perform 100% maximum. Potentially delusional, but I think it's always good to be 100% confident, because otherwise what's the point? You have to really back yourself even when it doesn't look like you should. Anyway, so I did the warm-up, got to the start, and what I had missed on the information, partly because it was in Spanish and the translations, the words don't quite line up to what we say. So there was meant to be a bike check before the race. You could bring it. I think the bike check opened 50 minutes before the races started going off. I misread that as the actual pits opening, but not the bike check opening. I thought there would be a bike check after the race, which is what it was last year. So I get to the start line 3 minutes before I'm meant to roll off. I've just finished my warm-up, perfect timing, minimal cool-down time, and they're like, okay, we have to do a bike check. It's okay, you have time, we have time, but you have to do a bike check. So I'm like, okay, it's okay, they'll just do it, simple stuff, I've measured it, should be good. What I didn't account for, guys, was the fact that TT extensions, the little, the skis, they have to have bar end plugs. See, what I did, instead of having the normal E-tap shifters, I cheapskated it. Why didn't Yes, I used a mountain bike shifter, which I'll show a picture of, because it's actually it saves about 250 quid, and it's basically the cheapest way to build a one bike E-tap setup. So, and it worked. It actually worked really well. But it turns out you need bar end plugs. You can't just have empty tubes. So they were like, no, you can't start. You need to have bar end plugs. So I was like,
hold up, wait a minute.
Where am I going to get bar end plugs? Someone just picked up a bottle cap off the floor and showed that to me. I was like, oh, would that work? And they're like, well, I suppose so. They're like, okay, what's this guy going to do? So without waiting a single second, I sprinted back to the pits. She literally started shouting tape. Someone quickly told me tape is cinta. So I'm going around the tape shouting cinta, cinta, por favor, in my best bad Spanish accent. And I finally get some mechanics bring over some tape. I get another bottle cap, so I put them over the skis, and the mechanics like going around like that. I sprint back to the start, and I missed my start time by what probably was no more than 20 seconds. But because of the way it works, is the next guy was already in position to start, so I had to wait for him to start, plus another 20 seconds after that, because I need to have a gap or whatever. So I started 90 seconds after my time was, and that's not time like you don't just start late. That's just like your start was when you started, and you just have 90 seconds added to your time basically. So that wasn't ideal. I was really angry at the start round, but I was like, got into my rhythm. I was like, okay, let's just not burn up all the adrenaline, or not, go out too hard and try and get into a rhythm. But I shortly realised that I didn't have the greatest pace in the world anyway. I don't have a power meter on my TT bike, but you sort of have a feeling for these things. It just doesn't feel, the legs aren't flying. It quickly sort of became apparent I wasn't going incredibly fast. I still absolutely gave a maximum effort. I remember my coach Colin's words. He said to me before the race on WhatsApp, he was like, empty the tank, deplete the system, or something like that. And I just empty the tank I did, and the course was pretty kind of flat, and then it had this climb which we did 3 times in the road race, which is about 3.5 minutes, and that's quite a steep climb, especially for my one bike with a 56T, and my rear mech couldn't go into the biggest cog on the cassette because it touched the disc, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, I did the TT, I finished. I knew it wasn't going to be a great time, but I was happy with the effort, given all the circumstances, and I ended up with 11th on the day, which, it's okay. It's not what I wanted at all. I definitely wanted to be well inside the top 10, but given everything, can't complain too much. I thought I'd put that aside, focus on the road race, and that's what I did. I ate really, really well for the next 2 days, slept really, really well, did my pre-race rides, bang bang, did a recon of the main circuit, and then there's a finishing circuit which is a motor racing circuit, and I did a recon of that on the Saturday. So I had a really good idea of what the circuit was. I'd done got all the routes and all the elevation charts and figured everything out. The under 23 race had finished in a bunch sprint, so I was like, boys, this is perfect. It goes up this climb, it's just a 3-minute climb, 3 minutes for me. I'm a big guy, but 3 minutes, it's more of a power climb, so you don't really have to worry too much if you've got a fair bit of gas. And then like I said, the finish was more or less flat, a little bit rolling and a little bit draggy, but not anything that would split it up. Anyway, so we get to the race, I'm all pumped up, got all the fuel. By the way, I should mention, like I said, I didn't have support, so water, it's a 4.5 hour 200 kilometer road race. I could have had water in someone else's team car, but that would mean risking going back into the convoy, and if the race was hard or if I got in the break, that could be quite difficult. So I thought I'd play the safest option, which probably wasn't the easiest option, but I ended up having all my water with me on the bike. So that was 3 litres, 2 1-litre bottles and 2 500ml bottles. So the 2 1 litres were in the bike bottle cages, and then 2 500s were in my pockets of the jersey, which in my head I thought, oh yeah, that'll be fine, it's a bit of extra weight. Man, we got to that climb the first time and they were warp speed, and as soon as I got out of the saddle, it's just like a backpack on your back. It felt horrific, but it didn't make a difference in the end, because basically about 20 kilometers into the race, a break goes, fairly well represented, but it doesn't have every team, and it definitely doesn't have the best riders of the biggest team, particularly Colombia. They didn't have their best riders in the break, so I was like, okay, that break can go. It's not a massive threat. I think I was pretty confident that the amount of firepower that was left, it would come back, or at least the group would go across. Long story short, literally within about 10 minutes of it going, the gap was ballooning out. Half an hour into the race, or maybe an hour into the race, the gap was over 10 minutes. As soon as it went, guys were just parking it on the front. Attacks were just being marked down. So it was like, oh damn, the race is over. And me being in the race mode, I was keeping hope that at some point it's going to light up and a group would go across or something would chase. But nothing happened. We basically stopped moving. We were riding, the guys in the front were probably it's 150 watts or something ridiculous. We were not moving. So the break, like I said, got a massive gap. And then weirdly, we went to the climb and then went absolute full gas. It was mega fast. At the bottom, I looked down, 700 watts. Not even an exaggeration. So that was warp speed, get to the top, chill for another lap, which was what, I don't know, maybe 40 something minutes. and then again warp speed up the climb, chill, warp speed up the climb, and then chill, and then so that was the end of the big circuit. We come back down, and then it's like only then that the teams realised that, oh, the gap's getting pretty big. It was over 20 minutes at that point, or maybe it's like 17 minutes or something. So then they start doing like a lead out with about 40 kilometers to go, and it's like, no, it's so gone, it's so far gone. So we came back towards the finishing circuit pretty quickly, but you know the break was long gone, unfortunately. Much to my sadness and disappointment. I was hoping I could get a placing because I think there were only 14 up the road in the end. So we were fighting for 15th, which is not like a bad position for continental championships, and you know, still a fair amount of UCI points. And basically what happened, they said that if the gap was still over, I think 5 minutes by the time we got into the circuit, they would just pull us out. And they made it sound like they would just pull us out and that's the end of the race. But what they actually did was they took positions as we just came into the finishing circuit, like into the pits. So I ended up getting 31st, unbeknownst to me until later on. But it's a bit jarring that some guy just rolled in, happened to be at the front, and got 15th. But anyway, that's just me being salty. So yeah, like I said, rolled in. End of the day, obviously a bit disappointed. One thing I will add, Argentina, San Juan, which is where the race was, is a really beautiful place. It's not really what I expected. I didn't know a huge amount about Argentina, but it is really, really beautiful. We were racing over the top of this dam, and it was a very pretty place. I think we have a few pictures, so I'll put them just here. Anyway, so that was the Sunday, and my flight would be leaving midday on Monday, so I thought, you know, pack everything up, decompress. Bit of a disappointment to end the whole racing thing, but happy I went, and you know, can't complain really with everything that happened. So soak that in and get ready to fly home. So obviously there was probably over 200 something cyclists. There was only 2 flights leaving San Juan the next day. One was leaving I think at 2 p.m, the next one at 3 p.m. to go to Buenos Aires. So here's the thing, they put my bike on the 3 p.m. I was on the 2 p.m. flight, but the connection in Buenos Aires was only 50 minutes. So I got there, like, where's my bike, boys? Everyone else has got their bike. And yeah, they only told me with about 10 minutes to go, oh yeah, bike's on the next flight, you can just wait for it. I was like, no, I have a connection, so I need to go. And then they said, oh, okay, you can just go and we'll post your bike to you in London. I was like, sweet, bye. I sprint across the airport, I try and check in, they're like, no, check-in's closed now. So I'm there like having like a meltdown because I'm already pretty traumatized from the 48-hour journey from before, and the thought of doing that again is like not nice. So I sprint back. I'm like, what can they do? No, literally they can't do anything. No one's doing anything. They're not being helpful at all. I get my bike, but that's no consolation because there's no quick flights to get back home because it's such a convoluted route. There's nothing even remotely direct. So eventually my travel company, there was an option that would have got me home just a little bit later, but they didn't respond in time. And if I booked it myself, then they wouldn't reimburse me. So I had to wait for them to book it for me. Long story short, I had to wait in Buenos Aires airport for 24 hours. Yeah, that was, it was so bad. And it wasn't even like after the check-in, like in duty free or anything. No, it was literally like out just next to the front door before the check-in. So yeah, I literally slept like made of 3 chairs in a cafe, and it was not a fun time. I probably should have got an airport, but by the time I realised I was staying there, it was just too late. So I probably should have got a hotel, but by the time I realised I was staying there, it was too late. So I was there, that was long. Ended up going to, where did I end up going? I went to Rio de Janeiro in the end, and then to Paris, and then home. So I did a right little tour of all the major cities. So that was interesting. Finally got home, and like I said, I was waxed. I was absolutely waxed. Like, it was genuinely worse than being ill. Like, I wasn't actually ill, but the fatigue and like tiredness. My coach gave me 5 days off the bike as a sort of mid-season break, which I definitely needed to recover from that anyway. But it took 2 weeks for my sleep pattern to sort of come back to normal, and eating as well, because obviously eating in the airport is just, it's not good. Anyway, yeah, so I'm back now. I'm all good. I've been training really well. Form's been good. Food's been good, and eating on the bike's been good. Thanks to that was bad. Thanks to SIS especially. For the ride food and stuff, and of course this trip I literally wouldn't have been able to do that without SIS. So head over to sis.com and use code RED10 for 10% off. Link in the description below. Yeah, so that about sums up the Pan American Champs. It didn't go as well as I'd wanted to, but you know, everything's a lesson, and it's good to know now that breaks in these kind of races, they do tend to go more easily because people are more likely to fight for themselves. You know, in a normal race with trade teams, people have got jobs, they have to bring things back. You know, it doesn't happen in things like this because everyone's, you know, they're slightly more focused on their own ambitions, which is completely fair enough, and it just changes the dynamic. So it's good to know and good to learn. Yeah, so my next race is the Grenadian National Championships, which I'm flying out to Grenada next Wednesday, which I'm really, really excited for. So hopefully I can get some national bands, which would be awesome to wear for the next year. That'd be amazing. And then coming back from that, I'll be doing some of the National Crit Series, National Road Series before prepping for the Commonwealth Games, which is like my main target for the year. I'm really excited for that. And yeah, I'll keep you guys hopefully more updated. And yeah, anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.